Hey, do you think that your wife is a nag? Well, I'm going to share two things to never ever do, and one thing that will most likely work. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Lesli Dories, your marriage coach, creator of the Hero Husband Project, and owner of Foundations Coaching. Now, the dictionary defines nagging as continually fault finding, complaining, or just being petulant. Okay. And it's really when one person repeatedly makes a request, the other person repeatedly ignores it, and both of you become increasingly annoyed. Now, there's a certain amount of give and take in every marriage, but nagging is actually a really, really unproductive way of communicating. And in fact, according to a Wall Street Journal article, this dynamic, this nagging dynamic, can be almost as dangerous to a marriage as adultery or arguing over money. And in looking around about nagging, what people think about it, how to deal with it, I come across a couple of things that were like, oh my God, please do not do this. So if you already know that you have an issue with nagging in your relationship, then I invite you to get in touch with me and we'll have a conversation about it. But otherwise, stay till this video is for you. And really, one of the things that really got my blood boiling when I was reading this was in one of the articles that said, yeah, your wife is your boss, and that the faster you accept it, the easier it gets. And went on to say that a nagging wife will always see herself as the one who is right. And so no matter whose fault it is, you're going to be the one to say you're sorry all the time. Not a good dynamic. I don't recommend it for you. What they're saying is you should just automatically say she's right. Now, if your wife brings a concern to you, absolutely, you need to listen to it. But just automatically saying that she is right, or kind of a slight version of this is just zoning her out and doing the yes dear kind of thing. Both of those ideas are really, really bad, because no matter if there is validity in what she's saying, if you just automatically say yes or say I'm sorry or give in or buy into the idea that she is the boss in your marriage, what you're doing is you're making what should be an equal relationship where both of you have as much say as the other into one that is out of balance. And this negative dynamic of always being criticized and carped on and whatever is really, really, really demoralizing. And, the better idea is don't feed it, which is what you're doing if you buy into the fact that she's right. Now, I'm not going to say she's got a perspective and there is some validity in that. And yes, I think it's important for you to listen to it. But to automatically assume that because she's making a statement or constantly going on about this is really not helpful. I know that one of the things that makes me crazy, and it's one of my triggers, is to be treated like I'm not competent. And a lot of nagging ends up with that same result, where somebody, the impression is that I'm not capable. I need you to step in. I need my wife to step into that role of the boss, the mom, whatever. And by the way, that is not a dynamic you want in your marriage, right? Nobody wants to be sleeping with their mother. Okay, enough said about that. The second thing that's also really unproductive is that you go into this. Your wife says something, which is fine, but the idea is that if she's nagging you, it means you've done something to tick her off. Now, that may or may not be true. She may actually be annoyed. That is absolutely true. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are at fault. And the advice that was given was, you'll have no idea about what you've done to tick her off, but it's your responsibility to go over your past and to understand where you went wrong and then immediately apologize. Again, bad communication, right? If there is a problem, it needs to be clear. You are not a mind reader, right? It's one of those things where, why are you mad? Well, if I have to tell you, you should know. Like, oh my God, mind reading school of marriage. Not going to be effective, right? It puts you on the defensive. It makes her not have to get clear about what's going on. So those are the two things not to do. And oh, by the way, don't ever say to her, just don't ever do the yes, dear, if you're not going to follow through. Don't apologize for something if there's not going to be a change in behavior, because let me tell you, that's just going to make things worse. But the one thing that will make things better is to first take a breath, right? And then decide in that moment whether now's the time to have this conversation. Because if she's really upset, you don't want to try to have that conversation with her at the moment. So in that particular case, silence is golden. But what needs to happen is there needs to be a real conversation. There needs to be clarity, not about just what she doesn't like, what she's complaining about, what she's asking, what she's wanting, but have it be very clear in the form of a request, because it's very easy to complain. It's very easy to get into that negative cycle. It's a lot harder to identify exactly what the request is. Now, again, she may have made a very clear request, but there may be some pieces missing, right? So if you've ever heard of SMART goals, one of those things is the time, right? When does this have to be done by? So if she says, "Hey, can we please pick up, can we please pick up the house?" That doesn't necessarily mean, when are you supposed to do it? Right now? Saturday? When? So part of this is to ask the question and get clarity about what it is she wants. That's step number one. And then step number two is to negotiate, right? Because her request may be valid. It may just not be something you can do right in the moment, or it may be something you don't want to do at all, and she just has this expectation of you. But the thing is you want to negotiate to a solution that, one, both of you can live with, and two, both of you can implement. Because you do not want a dynamic where one of you is telling the other one what to do all the time. And by the way, if a lot of this, all of this is about her expectations, her insecurities, her beliefs about what should be happening, which is all fine as long as the two of you are in agreement about it. Okay. And so and that's one of the things where you don't necessarily agree on a time frame. I'm going to do it. I'm just not going to do it in your time frame. My husband used to every so often decide we needed to pick up the house. And I said, "Great, have fun, honey. If you want me to participate in this, I'm available in 2 hours. I'm not available right now." That's communication. And if you need help with this, because here's the deal, that negative interaction that just keeps building on itself with the nagging and then the unhelpful responses to it, really just sets your marriage up for an unpleasant dynamic. And you don't want to have that. So if you're interested in learning how to implement these listening skills, these negotiation skills, then I invite you to get in touch with me. You can reach me by email at leslie@foundationscoachingnc.com. You can put a comment down in the comment section below, or you can actually direct message me, and we'll get on a call and we'll have a conversation about how you can change this really unhelpful dynamic in your marriage. So hopefully that was helpful. And until next week, stay loving.